I was standing in the gym parking lot at midnight, rain pouring down, and she was in front of me, mascara running down her face, soaking wet, holding a letter she'd apparently been carrying for months. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice breaking. "I can't pretend. I can't keep training you 3 times a week and act like I'm not completely in love with you." My heart stopped. Sarah Mitchell, 38 years old, married for 13 years, mother of 2, my personal trainer for the past 10 months, the woman I'd been secretly, desperately in love with, had just said she loved me. And I didn't know if I wanted to laugh or cry because I'd spent 10 months thinking I was alone in this impossible feeling. Let me tell you how we got here. My name is Amanda Collins. I'm 29 years old, and I'm a corporate lawyer at a major firm in downtown Chicago. I've always been the type who works too hard, sleeps too little, and takes terrible care of myself. By 28, I was 30 pounds overweight, constantly exhausted, and my doctor warned me that if I didn't change my lifestyle, I was heading for serious health problems. It was my best friend Rachel who suggested Elite Fitness, a boutique gym in Lincoln Park. They have the best trainers, Amanda. You need someone who'll push you but also understand that you have an actual demanding career. I signed up in January of 2024. The gym manager, a buff guy named Marcus, asked me about my goals, my schedule, my limitations. Then he said, "I think Sarah would be perfect for you. She specializes in working with busy professionals. She gets it." The first session was scheduled for a Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., the only time I could fit it in before work. I showed up exhausted, in cheap workout clothes from Target, already regretting this decision. And then she walked in. Sarah Mitchell was 38 years old, but she could have passed for younger. Not because she tried to look young. She had laugh lines around her green eyes, a few silver streaks in her dark blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. It was her energy. The way she moved with this calm confidence, like she was exactly where she belonged. "Amanda?" She smiled, extending her hand. "I'm Sarah. Great to meet you. Ready to get started?" "As ready as I'll ever be at 6 in the morning." She laughed, a genuine warm laugh. "I'm a morning person, so you'll have to forgive my enthusiasm. But I promise I'll make this as painless as possible." The first session kicked my ass. She worked me hard but never pushed past what I could do. And the whole time, she talked to me, asked about my work, my life, my reasons for being there, made it feel less like torture and more like hanging out with a really fit friend who happened to be making you do squats. "You did great," she said at the end, when I was lying on the mat trying to remember how to breathe. Seriously, most people can't finish their first session. You powered through. I don't feel powerful. I feel like I'm dying. That's how you know it worked. She handed me a water bottle. "Listen, I'm going to text you later with some nutrition tips. Nothing crazy, just simple swaps you can make. And I want you to track your food for me this week. Can you do that?" "I can try." That's all I ask. Trying. She smiled, and something about that smile made my chest feel weird. Over the next few weeks, training with Sarah became the best part of my day. She made it fun somehow. Played good music, cracked jokes, celebrated every small victory. "You did 10 push-ups today. Last week you could barely do 5. But it was more than that. She really listened. When I talked about stress at work, she'd adjust the workout to incorporate stress relief. When I mentioned trouble sleeping, she'd send me articles about sleep hygiene. When I was down about slow progress, she'd remind me how far I'd come. And the texts. God, the texts. They started professional. "Great job today. Here's that recipe I mentioned." But over time, they became more personal. "How was your day? Did that presentation go well? Saw this and thought of you," with a funny meme attached. I told myself it was normal. She was invested in her client's success. But deep down, I knew it was more. It was in March, about 2 months in, that I started noticing things. The way her hand would linger on my shoulder when she was correcting my form. The way her eyes would light up when I walked into the gym. The way she'd ask about my weekend plans with this hopeful tone. Like she wanted me to invite her along. Or maybe I was just projecting. Maybe I wanted her to feel what I was feeling, because I was feeling something. Something I'd never felt before. I'd had boyfriends, a few serious relationships. But this was different. This was waking up excited for a 6 a.m. workout. This was checking my phone every 5 minutes hoping for a text from her. This was lying in bed at night thinking about her smile, her voice, the way she said my name. It scared the hell out of me. If you're relating to these confusing feelings, hit that like button and subscribe. We share real stories about women discovering unexpected truths about themselves. In April, she invited me to her challenge clients group. Apparently, she had about 8 clients she'd identified as really committed, and once a month they did a group workout followed by brunch. "It's super casual," she said after our session one morning. "No pressure. But I think you'd really like the other women. They're all professionals like you. Lawyers, doctors, executives. Smart, driven, fun. I don't know, I'm not really a group workout person. Try it once. If you hate it, you never have to come again. But Amanda." She put her hand on my arm. "I think you need community. You work so hard. You're so isolated. Having a group of women who get it might be really good for you." She was right, of course. The group was amazing. 7 other women, all dealing with similar pressures, all trying to prioritize health in demanding lives. We worked out together, then went to brunch at this cute cafe in Wicker Park, and I laughed more in those 3 hours than I had in months. But the best part was Sarah. Seeing her outside the gym context, relaxed, laughing with us, sharing stories about her kids. She had 2 daughters, Emma, 12, and Lily, 9. She talked about them with such love, such pride. "They're the best thing I ever did," she said, when one of the other women asked if she had kids. "Even on the hard days, even when they're driving me crazy, I look at them and think, yeah, I did something right." "And your husband?" someone asked. "What does he do?" A pause, brief but noticeable. "He's in finance, works a lot. We don't see him much." Then she changed the subject. I caught it. That pause, that deflection. And I wondered. The months continued. May, June, July. I'd lost 20 pounds, gained muscle, felt better than I'd felt in years. But more than the physical changes, I felt alive. For the first time in my career-obsessed life, I had something I looked forward to besides work. And that something was Sarah. It was in August, during a particularly brutal training session, that everything shifted. She was spotting me on bench press, standing over me, and when I finished the set and sat up, our faces were inches apart. Neither of us moved. We just looked at each other. For what felt like forever, but was probably only 5 seconds. Then she stepped back quickly. "Good set. Let's move to the next exercise." The rest of the session was awkward. She barely looked at me, barely talked. When it ended, she practically ran out of the gym. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, heart pounding, mind racing. What just happened? Was that what I thought it was? Or was I completely delusional? That night, I got a text from her. At 11 p.m. "Amanda, I'm so sorry about today. I was unprofessional and I apologize. It won't happen again." My hands were shaking as I typed back. "You weren't unprofessional. And you don't have anything to apologize for." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Can we talk? Not about training. About this. When? Tomorrow, after your session? There's a coffee shop near the gym. I'll be there." I didn't sleep that night, not even a little. The next morning's training session was the most awkward hour of my life. We both tried to act normal, but it was forced, strange. When it ended, she said, "Coffee shop in 20 minutes?" And I nodded. The coffee shop was small, tucked into a side street, the kind of place where nobody from the gym would randomly show up. We ordered, her a black coffee, me a latte, and sat at a corner table. For a full minute, neither of us said anything. Finally, she spoke. "I'm married." "I know." "I have 2 kids." "I know." "I'm 9 years older than you." "I know that too." "And She closed her eyes. "I can't stop thinking about you. And that terrifies me." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. "Sarah." "No, let me finish, please." She opened her eyes, and they were glistening with tears. "I've been married to David for 13 years. He's a good man. He works hard. He's a good father. He's never done anything wrong. But Amanda, I haven't loved him in years. Maybe I never really did. Maybe I just did what I was supposed to do. Dated a nice guy, got married, had kids. Checked all the boxes. And somewhere along the way I forgot to ask myself if I was happy. Are you? Happy? No, I'm not. I haven't been for a long time. But I've gotten good at pretending. Good at telling myself that this is just what marriage is after kids, after years. That passion fades and comfort is what matters. But then you showed up and... She wiped her eyes. "You make me feel alive, Amanda. You make me excited to wake up in the morning. You make me laugh. You make me want to be better. And I don't know what to do with that because you're my client and I'm married and this is so incredibly wrong on every level. But you feel it. I feel it so much it hurts." She looked at me, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. "Do you feel it?" "Yes. God, yes. I've been feeling it for months. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was reading into things that weren't there. They're there. They've always been there." She reached across the table, almost touched my hand, then pulled back. "But Amanda, we can't act on this. I have kids. I have a life. I can't blow everything up. I'm not asking you to." "Then what are we doing? What is this conversation?" I struggled to find words. It's honesty. It's finally saying out loud what we've both been feeling. And maybe that's enough. Maybe just knowing that it's not one-sided is enough. She shook her head. "Is it? Is that really enough for you?" "It has to be. Because I'm not going to be the person who destroys a family. I care about you too much for that." We sat there in silence, both of us crying quietly, both of us knowing that nothing and everything had changed. We agreed to continue the training, to try to go back to normal, or something like it. But it was impossible. Every session was charged with tension. Every accidental touch was electric. Every text message felt loaded with meaning. The other women in the group noticed. Rebecca, a cardiologist who'd become a friend, pulled me aside after a group workout in September. "So what's going on with you and Sarah?" "What? Nothing. Why?" "Because you two look at each other like you're the only people in the room. It's intense. We're just trainer and client." "Sure, and I'm the Queen of England." She squeezed my arm. "Look, I'm not judging, but whatever's happening there, be careful. Sarah's married. If this gets out, it could ruin her career, her reputation, her family. Just be careful." I knew she was right, but I also knew I couldn't walk away. It was in October, during a rainstorm, that everything came to a head. I'd had a terrible day at work, lost a major case, got chewed out by a partner, almost cried in the office bathroom. I texted Sarah. "Can we talk? Not about training, just Can we talk? Meet me at the gym, midnight. It'll be empty. I drove through the pouring rain, parked in the empty lot, and waited. At exactly midnight, her car pulled up. We sat in our separate cars for a moment, rain hammering on the roofs. Then she got out, walked to my car, and I got out too. Amanda? She was soaked in seconds. I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend. I can't keep training you 3 times a week and act like I'm not completely in love with you. Everything stopped. The rain, the world, my heart. I've written you a letter, she continued, pulling a soggy envelope from her jacket pocket. I've been carrying it for 2 months. I keep trying to give it to you and I chicken out. But I can't anymore. I can't keep living this lie. I love you. And I don't know what to do about it. I took the letter with shaking hands. Sarah, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not asking you to wait for me, or save me, or fix this. I just needed you to know. Even if it ruins everything. Even if you never want to see me again. I needed you to know. I love you too. The words came out before I could stop them. I've loved you for months. I've been dying keeping it inside. She stepped closer, rain streaming down both our faces. What do we do? I don't know, but we figure it out, together. And in that parking lot, in the pouring rain at midnight, we kissed for the first time. It was desperate. It was perfect. It was everything and terrifying all at once. The months that followed were the hardest of both our lives, Sarah had to tell David. But before that, she had to process it herself. We didn't jump into anything. After that kiss in the parking lot, we both knew we needed to do things right. No sneaking around, no affair. If this was real, and it was, it deserved to be done with integrity. Sarah started therapy first. I need to understand what's happening to me, she said when we met for coffee a week after the rain incident. I need to know if this is real or if I'm just having some kind of crisis. And if the therapist says it's a crisis, then I deal with it. But Amanda, I don't think that's what this is. I think I've spent 38 years suppressing parts of myself. I think I married David because it was expected. Good Christian girl meets good Christian boy. They get married, have babies, live happily ever after. Except I was never happy. I was just adequate. Over the next month, Sarah went to therapy twice a week. She couldn't train me anymore. We both agreed that was too complicated, too charged. I switched to another trainer at the gym, a nice guy named Marcus, who was professional and effective, but wasn't Sarah. We texted every day, though. Long conversations about everything. About her therapy sessions, her marriage, her fears, about my own confusion. Was I gay? Bisexual? Did it even matter what label I put on it? My therapist says labels are less important than authenticity, Sarah told me one night over the phone. It was late, past 11. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. She says I need to stop worrying about what I am and start focusing on what I feel. And what I feel is, I feel alive with you. I feel seen. I feel like myself for the first time ever. Do the girls know something's up? Emma does. She's 12. She's perceptive. She asked me the other day why I've been so sad. I told her Mommy's just going through some things. David doesn't know yet. I need to tell him. I know I need to. But I'm terrified. What are you afraid of? Everything. That he'll hate me. That he'll take the girls. That I'll lose everything I've built. That maybe I'm wrong and this is just some weird phase and I'm about to destroy my family for nothing. Sarah, listen to me. Whether or not we end up together, you deserve to be honest. About who you are, what you want, what makes you happy. Your daughters deserve a mom who's authentic, not one who's pretending. And David deserves a partner who truly loves him, not one who's going through the motions. She was quiet for a long moment. When did you get so wise? Probably around the time I fell in love with my personal trainer and had to figure out my entire identity. She laughed, that beautiful laugh I'd missed hearing in person. God, we're a mess, aren't we? The best kind of mess. It was in late November, right before Thanksgiving, that Sarah finally told David. She called me from her car at 2 a.m. I could barely understand her through the crying. I told him everything. About you. About what I've been feeling. About not being sure if I'm straight. How did he react? He threw a glass against the wall. It shattered everywhere. He was screaming, saying I was ruining everything, that I was confused, that it was that damn gym, that damn trainer job, putting ideas in my head, that I was having some kind of mental breakdown. She sobbed. And then he said the worst part. He said I was choosing to destroy our daughter's lives for a phase. For attention, for a client half my age who probably just has a crush and will move on in 6 months. My heart broke for her. Sarah, where are you now? In my car. I left. I couldn't stay there. He was so angry, Amanda. I've never seen him like that. And the girls heard everything. They were crying. Emma was crying. Oh God. Emma was crying and asking what was happening, and I couldn't even explain it to her because I don't fully understand it myself. Where are the girls now? With David, in the house. I left them there. What kind of mother leaves her kids? Her voice broke completely. You're not leaving them. You're taking space to let everyone calm down. Listen to me. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. You don't have to. Where are you, Sarah? She was in a parking lot 3 blocks from her house. I drove there in 15 minutes, found her car, got in the passenger seat. She looked destroyed, makeup smeared, eyes swollen, shaking. I didn't say anything, just held her while she cried. I don't know what to do, she finally said. I don't know how to fix this. You don't fix it tonight. Tonight you just survive it. Tomorrow you figure out the next step. That's how this works, 1 step at a time. Will you? Can I stay with you tonight? Just tonight. I can't go back there yet. And I can't go to my sister's because she'll ask questions I can't answer. You can stay as long as you need. We drove to my apartment in silence. She borrowed my clothes, washed her face, and we lay in my bed, not touching, just existing in the same space. Somewhere around 4 a.m., she finally fell asleep. I stayed awake, watching her, terrified of what was coming but also somehow hopeful. The next weeks were hell. David lawyered up immediately, filed for divorce, and pushed for full custody, claiming Sarah was having a mental health crisis and was unfit to care for the children. Her lawyer, a fierce woman named Patricia Chen, had to fight hard. He's claiming moral unfitness based on your sexuality, Patricia explained in her office downtown. Sarah and I sat across from her, both exhausted. It's bullshit, but in family court, perception matters. We need to prove you're a stable, loving parent. That this is about you finally living authentically, not having a breakdown. How do we do that? Therapy records, character witnesses. And honestly, you need to move out, get your own place, establish stability. Living with Amanda right now, while you're technically still married, doesn't look good. So Sarah moved in with her sister Jennifer temporarily. A small apartment in Evanston, where she and the girls could have space when she had visitation. David was resistant to letting them visit at first, but Patricia got a court order for temporary custody arrangement, 50-50 until the divorce was finalized. The first time Emma and Lily came to Jennifer's apartment, It was awkward. The girls were confused, hurt, angry. Emma especially was cold to her mom. "Why did you leave us?" she asked, arms crossed, 12 years old and furious. "Sweetheart, I didn't leave you. I'll never leave you. Your dad and I are having problems, but that has nothing to do with how much I love you." "He said you chose someone else over us." Sarah's face crumpled. "That's not true. That's not." "Emma, I love you more than anything in the world. What's happening between your dad and me is complicated, but it's not about choosing someone over you. It's about me needing to be honest about who I am. And I promise, when you're older, I'll explain everything. But right now, I just need you to trust that I love you. Can you do that?" Emma didn't answer, just went to the room Jennifer had set up for the girls and closed the door. Lily, 9 and sweet-natured, stayed with Sarah. Climbed into her lap and said, "I don't understand what's happening, but I miss you, Mommy." And Sarah cried, holding her youngest daughter, while I watched from the doorway, my heart breaking for all of them. I kept my distance during those early months. Didn't meet the girls, didn't push Sarah, just supported from afar. We texted every day, talked on the phone most nights, but we didn't see each other in person often. She needed space to focus on her daughters, her divorce, her therapy. But in February, 6 months after that rainy parking lot confession, things started to settle. The divorce was progressing. David was still angry but had stopped fighting for full custody after Emma told the court-appointed therapist that she wanted time with both parents. Sarah had her own apartment now, a small 2-bedroom in Lincoln Park, where the girls had their own room, decorated with their input. Emma's half covered in band posters, Lily's in unicorns. "I want you to meet them," Sarah said one night over FaceTime. "The girls, officially. Not as my friend from the gym, as my girlfriend." My heart did a flip at that word. We'd never officially labeled it. Are they ready for that? I don't know if they'll ever be fully ready. But they need to know this is real. That you're part of my life. Emma especially. She's smart. She's figured out that there's someone. She just doesn't know who. And if they hate me? They won't hate you. They might be weird at first. They might be cold. But they won't hate you, because you're part of what makes me happy, and eventually they'll see that. The first meeting was at Sarah's apartment. She made dinner, pasta, safe choice, and I showed up with flowers for her and books for the girls. Age-appropriate books I'd carefully researched. Emma was standoffish. Shook my hand formally, said, "Nice to meet you," in a tone that clearly meant the opposite. Lily was more open, smiled at the unicorn book, said, "Thank you." Dinner was awkward. Long silences. Emma staring at her plate. Lily asking random questions to fill the quiet. "Do you have a dog? Do you like pizza? How old are you?" "I'm 29, and I love pizza. Hawaiian is my favorite." "That's gross," Emma finally spoke. "Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza." "Agree to disagree?" I smiled, almost a smile back. Almost. After dinner, Sarah put a movie on. Lily sat between her and me on the couch. Emma sat in the armchair, scrolling on her phone but occasionally glancing at the TV. Halfway through the movie, Lily fell asleep on Sarah's shoulder. Sarah looked at me over her daughter's head and mouthed, "Thank you." That first meeting wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Over the months, it got easier. Emma slowly warmed up, especially after she found out I could help her with algebra homework. Lily decided I was cool because I liked Taylor Swift. Small victories, but they mattered. By August, a full year after that parking lot confession, the divorce was finalized. Sarah and David had joint custody, week on, week off. The settlement was fair, painful, but final. Sarah was officially divorced. Officially free. "I want you to move in with me," she said one night. We were at my apartment, which had become our haven. The place where she could just be Sarah, not mom or ex-wife or trainer. When the girls are with David, you're here anyway. When they're with me, you're there. We're already living together, just in a complicated way. So let's make it official. Are the girls okay with that? I talked to them. Emma said, and I quote, "I figured that was happening eventually." Lily said, "Does that mean Amanda will be there for movie nights?" So yes, they're okay with it. As okay as kids can be with their mom's new girlfriend moving in. Girlfriend, we're really doing this. The labels and everything. We're really doing this. I'm a divorced mom of 2 who fell in love with her client and blew up her whole life. You're a corporate lawyer who discovered she wasn't as straight as she thought when she met her personal trainer. And we're going to move in together and figure out this blended life. And probably mess it up sometimes, but also probably be really happy. When you put it that way, it sounds insane. It is insane, but it's our insane. And I wouldn't change it. Neither would I. Today, we live in that same 2-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park. Emma's 14 now, applying to high schools, rolling her eyes at both of us equally. Lily's 11, obsessed with volleyball, asks me to take her to practice when Sarah can't. David's remarried now. A nice woman named Jessica who works in his office. Things are civil between them, focused on the girls. Sarah's online training business is thriving. She works from home, sets her own hours, finally has the flexibility she always wanted. I made partner at my firm last year, still work too much. But now, I come home to a family. Not the traditional kind, but family nonetheless. We still train together sometimes. At home, in our living room, with YouTube workout videos. It's nowhere near as professional as those early days at Elite Fitness, but it's more fun, more us. The girls still struggle sometimes. Emma worries what her friends think, doesn't always want us both at her school events. Lily sometimes asks why her family can't just be normal. We're figuring it out, day by day, mistake by mistake, success by success. Was it worth it? The judgment, the lost friendships, the financial stress, the years of complicated custody arrangements? Sarah says yes without hesitation. I was dying before, she told me recently. Slowly, quietly, dying inside. Now I'm alive, really alive, for the first time. And I agree, because I didn't just fall in love with Sarah. I discovered parts of myself I didn't know existed. I found courage I didn't know I had. I built a life that doesn't fit any mold, but fits me perfectly. The months that followed were the hardest of both our lives. Sarah had to tell David. The conversation was devastating. For him, for her, for their daughters. He was blindsided, furious, heartbroken. He called her every name in the book, said she was destroying their family for a phase, for confusion, for a client half her age. But Sarah held firm. Because as she told me later, crying in my arms in my apartment, it wasn't just about me. It was about her finally admitting that she'd been living a lie. That she'd spent 13 years pretending to be someone she wasn't. That she'd suppressed feelings, denied truths, lived for everyone else's expectations except her own. The divorce was ugly. David fought for full custody, claimed she was an unfit mother because of her lifestyle choices. Her lawyer had to fight hard to protect her rights. Some of their friends sided with David. Her mother stopped speaking to her for months. Her father, more progressive, tried to mediate, but mostly just seemed sad about the whole situation. I always liked David, he told Sarah one day when he came to help her move into her new apartment. But sweetheart, I like you being happy more. And you were never happy with him. We all knew it. We just didn't know what to do about it. The gym was complicated too. When word got out, and of course it got out, small training community, everyone talks, there were complaints. Clients who said she'd been unprofessional, that she'd crossed boundaries. Some claimed she'd been inappropriate with them too, which wasn't true, but the accusations stuck anyway. The gym's management called her in, had a long meeting about ethics and boundaries, and ultimately decided it would be best if she moved on. "We're not firing you," Marcus, the manager, said carefully. "But given the situation, we think it's better for everyone if you pursue other opportunities." So she did. Sarah started building an online training business from scratch, set up a website, created social media accounts, reached out to old clients who hadn't abandoned her. It was terrifying. No steady paycheck, no guaranteed income, just her name and reputation that was currently in tatters. But slowly, it grew. Women who'd been her clients and respected her work followed her to the online platform. New clients found her through word of mouth. She developed a niche: busy professional women over 35, women who needed flexibility and understanding, women who'd been through their own transformations. And through it all, I was there, supporting her, loving her, being her safe place when everything else was falling apart. On the nights when she cried about missing her daughters, I held her. On the days when she doubted her business would survive, I reminded her of her strengths. On the moments when she questioned if leaving her marriage had been worth it, I showed her, wordlessly, that it was. We didn't rush into living together, gave it the full year. Let the girls adjust, let the dust settle, let both of us make sure this was real and not just the intensity of crisis bonding. But when we finally did move in together, it felt right. Not perfect. There's no perfect when you're blending lives, especially with kids involved. But right. Like pieces of a puzzle that don't look like they should fit but somehow do. And through it all, we kept learning about ourselves. Sarah in therapy discovered she'd been suppressing her bisexuality since high school. "There was this girl on my volleyball team," she told me one night. "Melissa. I was obsessed with her, thought about her constantly. Cried when she got a boyfriend. I told myself it was just admiration, just wanting to be her friend. But it wasn't. It was a crush. The first of many I'd ignore and repress until you. For me, the discovery was different. I'd never thought about my sexuality much. Had dated men because that's what you did. Never questioned it. I don't know if I'm a lesbian or bisexual, I told my therapist. I've been attracted to men. But what I feel for Sarah is so much more intense than anything I felt with them." "Maybe it's not about gender," she suggested. "Maybe it's about connection, about finding someone who really sees you. And maybe that someone happens to be a woman." That resonated. I wasn't sure I'd never be attracted to a man again, but I knew I'd never been more fully myself, more fully alive, than I was with Sarah. Today, nearly 2 years later, we live in a small apartment in Lakeview. No, wait, still Lincoln Park, same place. Sarah has joint custody of her daughters. They're with us half the week, with David the other half. It was rough at first. The girls were confused, angry, hurt. Emma especially struggled. 12 turning 13. That terrible age where everything feels like the end of the world. She was cold to me for months, would barely speak, would hide in her room when I was around. But slowly, she came around. It started with homework help. I was good at math. She was struggling with algebra. One night she knocked on my door. We'd given her and Lily their own room. Sarah and I shared the other, and asked if I could explain quadratic equations. We sat at the kitchen table for 2 hours. I explained the math. She opened up about school, about friends, about feeling weird that her mom was dating a woman. Some kids at school said stuff, mean stuff, about mom, about you, about our family being weird. What did you say back? I didn't know what to say, so I just didn't say anything. But I wanted to defend Mom. I wanted to tell them she's happier now than she ever was with Dad. But I didn't know how. You don't have to defend us, Emma. You don't have to explain your family to anyone. But if you want to, if it would help you, You can tell them that your mom is brave, that she chose honesty over comfort. And that takes more strength than staying in something that doesn't work. Emma looked at me for a long moment. You really love her, don't you? I really do. Okay then. And that was it. Not instant acceptance, but the beginning of it. Lily was easier. 9 years old, still young enough to just accept that mommy had a girlfriend now, and that was that. She liked that I made good pancakes on Saturday mornings. Liked that I'd paint nails with her when Sarah was working. Liked that I came to her school plays, even though I wasn't technically family. Are you going to be our stepmom? She asked once, out of the blue, while we were making dinner together. I looked at Sarah, who was on a work call in the bedroom. I don't know, sweetie. That's up to your mom and me. And you and Emma. Would that be okay with you? I guess. As long as we still get to see Dad. And as long as you keep making these good tacos. Deal. Slowly, carefully, we built a life. Not the traditional kind, not the kind anyone grows up imagining, but ours. Movie nights where Emma would sometimes sit between Sarah and me on the couch, her walls finely down. Volleyball games where Lily would wave to both of us in the stands. Family dinners where we'd all cook together, chaotic and messy and perfect. David's remarried now, a nice woman named Jessica, who works in his office. Things are civil between them, focused on the girls. He'll never fully forgive Sarah for how things ended, but he's moved on. The girls split holidays between houses. Emma and Lily have adjusted to having 2 homes, 2 families that look different but both love them. Sarah's mother eventually came around. Took almost 2 years, but one day she called and asked if she could see the girls. Sarah said only if she was ready to be respectful about our relationship. They met at a park, awkward at first. But her mother cried and apologized and said she'd been wrong to shut out her daughter. She's still not comfortable with us. Probably never will be fully. But she's trying. And that's something. My family was easier. My mom, when I told her, said, "Oh, honey, I wondered when you'd figure that out." Apparently, I'd been dropping hints my whole life that I never noticed. You were always more interested in your female friends than your boyfriends. My dad just wanted to know if I was happy. When I said yes, he said, "Then I'm happy for you." And he meant it. Sarah's online training business is thriving now. She works from home, sets her own hours, finally has the flexibility she always wanted to spend time with the girls. Has built a community of women who love her approach, her authenticity, her willingness to share her own journey. I made partner at my firm last year, youngest woman to do it. Still work too much, but now I come home to a family. Not the traditional kind, but family nonetheless. Sarah makes me take breaks, forces me to have dinner with them, reminds me that there's more to life than billable hours. We still train together sometimes, at home, in our living room, with YouTube workout videos. It's nowhere near as professional as those early days at Elite Fitness. Sarah's gained a little weight. Stress eating during the divorce, she jokes, but I think she looks perfect. I've maintained my fitness, more or less, though I'll never be as disciplined as I was when she was formally training me. But those home workouts, they're more fun, more us. Sometimes the girls join, sometimes it's just the 2 of us, laughing when one of us falls during a yoga pose, competing to see who can do more burpees, stealing kisses between sets. The girls still struggle sometimes. Emma worries what her friends think, doesn't always want us both at her school events. There was a parent-teacher conference last month where she specifically asked Sarah to come alone because it's less weird. It hurt, but we understood. Lily sometimes asks why her family can't just be normal. Sarah tells her that normal is overrated, that what matters is love, and Lily accepts that for now. We're figuring it out, day by day, mistake by mistake, success by success. Building a life that doesn't follow any template but works for us. Was it worth it? The judgment, the lost friendships, the financial stress, the years of complicated custody arrangements, the pain we caused David even though we tried to minimize it. Sarah says yes, without hesitation. I was dying before, she told me recently, on a rare night when just the two of us were home, the girls with David. We were on the couch, her head on my shoulder, rain pattering against the windows. Slowly, quietly, dying inside. Going through the motions, being the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect trainer. But I wasn't being me. And now I'm alive. Really alive. For the first time. And yes, it cost me. Cost us both. But I'd pay that cost again. And I agree. Because I didn't just fall in love with Sarah. I discovered parts of myself I didn't know existed. I found courage I didn't know I had. I built a life that doesn't fit any mold but fits me perfectly. This isn't a story about a perfect journey. There's no perfect in real life. There's messy and complicated and painful. There's loss and grief and regret. There's hurting people you don't want to hurt and watching them hurt even though you tried your best not to. But there's also truth. There's authenticity. There's the courage to say, this isn't working, even when it's easier to stay. There's the strength to build something new, even when you don't have a blueprint. Today, nearly 2 years later, we live in a small apartment in Lakeview. Sarah has joint custody of her daughters. They're with us half the week, with David the other half. It was rough at first. The girls were confused, angry, hurt. But slowly, they came around. They saw their mom happy for the first time in years. They saw a love that was real, not performed. Sarah started her own training business, focusing on online coaching. It's growing steadily. She's happier than I've ever seen her, doing work she loves on her own terms. I'm still a lawyer, still working too hard. But now I come home to someone who makes me want to be present, who makes me excited for life outside work. We still get stares sometimes when we hold hands, still hear whispers. Sarah's mother still hasn't fully come around. David still makes things difficult sometimes, but we have each other. We have the girls growing to accept us. We have a community of women who understand. Was it worth it? The pain, the judgment, the loss? Sarah says yes, because for the first time in her 38 years, she's living her truth. And I say yes too, because I found love in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person. This isn't a story about a perfect journey. It's a story about courage, about choosing truth over comfort, about risking everything for the possibility of real happiness. If you're struggling with feelings you don't understand, if you're questioning who you are, if you're scared to live your truth, you're not alone. There's a whole community of us who've been there, who understand, who are here. Your story matters, your truth matters, and you deserve to be happy, to be loved, to be yourself. If this story resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're building this community together, one story at a time. This is my story. The story of how my 38-year-old personal trainer confessed her love in a rainy parking lot, and how we built a life from the wreckage of everything we knew. And I'd do it all again. Every difficult moment, every tear, every loss. Because in the end, I gained myself, and I gained her. Thank you for listening. Until the next story.